Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of the world's greatest podcast. My name is Craig Arenti, and at least for the next hour, I am the world's greatest podcast host. And this podcast focuses on technology and licensing and contracting and cloud and all of those types of things. And I'm really excited about today's guest, Raj Joshi. Very nice to see you again. And
Same
thank you
here.
so much, Raj, for joining us.
I'm very happy to be here, Craig, especially with this beach.
I mean, we are recording this and the hurricane is right offshore. So the
A
Jersey Shore looks a little different
little
than
different.
that, but
Yes,
it's quite windy. But yeah, so I figured I would just copy you and day at the beach.
absolutely. Let's do that.
So Raj, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and you have been everywhere. You've been at IBM, you've been at Oracle, you've been at Google, E&Y, and now doing your own thing. So that's a pretty broad background. Why don't you tell some folks about yourself and sort of where you came from, business wise, and what you're doing today?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, and you're right, Craig. I have a pretty varied background, and none of it was intentional. That's the best way I can put it. It was all happenstance. Uh, my motto is I find myself continually falling forward. Right? So
Oh, I like that.
where everywhere I go, everything I do, it seems I'm moving ahead, but it's more like I'm falling than and trying anything particular. But yeah, I started at IBM, and my claim to fame is they rejected me 3 times before they hired me. So once
But
they
you
rejected
kept
me,
trying.
exactly after 2 times, I said, no, this I need to fix this, and so that's what I did. Um, and then from there, I went to Oracle, and that's where I had my first stint with them. And then from there, I went to Microsoft. And my other claim to fame is I was one of the first Microsoft SQL Server sellers, dedicated sellers in the world. So I grew up with that business. And then I went to SAS, the statistical
Mhm.
analytics company. And that was a great stint. And then I went to EY, like you said, and I started selling tax services. I thought it would be a new phase to my career, but again, I ended up learning a lot, but I figured out the big six are not for me. And then I went to Teradata, another legacy provider, and then I was at Google, and then I also helped Oracle after that. So I ended up in a situation where most every tech I'd been involved with was considered legacy now.
That's interesting.
And then
Because yeah, I mean those are like the big names.
the big
Those are
names. Yeah.
everybody knows them. But I want to go back to your stint, if you don't mind, because you said something interesting that I experienced myself. So I have like the opposite resume of yours. I did.
Okay.
I've basically done two things my entire.
Yeah.
Well, I've done one thing my entire career. Is I started. I spent 16 years at Oracle, and then for the last 15 years, or 14, 15 years at Oracle, and now for the last 15 years, I've been helping companies deal with Oracle. So it's sort of a very focused resume. But there was a job after Oracle where I went to work for a consulting firm,
Hmm.
and boy, that was not for me.
Yeah.
Working for, and then I started a consulting firm. I was like, oh my God. So what? Maybe not about EMY specifically. What was your experience being like a true consultant working for one of those big firms?
It's the, how should I say it? The good part was there's a lot of brain power and a lot of value to the network that they have.
Mhm.
And I would say you're right. For any of the big consulting firms, that would be one of their values is the breadth of conversations and the breadth of ideas and focus and functions that you could touch. The bad part was you, as a salesperson, because that's what I've become in my career, right? As a salesperson, their context of what is productive work is entirely about the billable hour, right? And my experience as a salesperson, and I'm expecting yours will be similar, is you spend a lot of time just thinking and trying to understand and trying to interpret. which is not billable hours, right? So there's that. I found that these two were not reconcilable, right? So my need, desire, ability to understand what a client wants to do uh, was just not part of their operating model. It just wasn't.
We were hired, Palisade was hired by a big consulting firm to help with a huge government agency.
Hmm.
And they fired us because we didn't bill enough hours. Like, we need you to create work. It was like, well, we fixed their problem. Like, my job as sort of running this business and helping customers, they don't want to waste their time and talking to me if they don't have to, right? They want me to fix their problem.
Yeah.
We used to say at Oracle, be bright, be brief, and be gone, right?
Be
That's sort
gone.
of our
Yes.
clients want us to do that when we're talking about these specific issues. So it was my experience is very similar to yours. When I went to work for a consulting firm, really briefly, like for
Yeah.
3 months, and then having been hired by big consulting firms to help their customers or our customers then, it's all about the billable hour. And that is not sort of a model that our clients, endorse very often.
Yeah, not, I didn't find that the right way. And so when I built this business, that was one of the focus areas was we want to sell on an outcome, right? We deliver a value, we deliver a solution, but that's how we deliver, right? We don't sell specific pieces. We don't sell so many hours to do X,
Mhm.
because that, to me, that's inefficient, right? It's about you, like you said, you've got a problem and you want to go from A to B and you want to be brief and be gone, right? That's what you want. After
So,
that, it's up to you.
you know, when you were going through all of those companies, I said that we're very different backgrounds. But one of the things that's similar is you went from this big firm called Google, and now you started your own company. And I
Yes.
went from a big firm called Oracle and started. So I love to talk to entrepreneurs about sort of that journey and sort of how they, you know, jumped ship, right? Because that's a big move from
Hmm.
getting a paycheck to y- from signing the back of the check to signing the front of the check is how I put
Yes,
it.
it
So,
is.
so what are you crazy? Like, what happened? How do you go? Like, I've got this great gig at Google. I'm gonna go do this thing on my own. Like, how does that happen? Like, that there's got to be some, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
You're right. It was a click in my head that said, I'm not a good employee anymore. I'm just not. And it wasn't fair to them for me to be there. The paycheck is wonderful, right? It's very comforting. And it's every week or every 2 weeks, right? But when you find yourself like you're not doing what you want, and to take that paycheck without doing what they want, it didn't sit right with me uh, internally. So I thought I need to go do what I want to do, and that's what I did.
When I was working for a consulting firm, again, it was a very short period of time. They brought me in to do this task.
Right.
We want you to build this business, helping customers automate contracting and sort of because they spend a lot of time, obviously in procurement and so I created a service and I realized that if I'm successful, all the managing directors at this other firm would have lost money. So there was no one on my side. Literally,
Yeah.
it was like it was in a pool of sharks, and they're like they just were waiting for me to fail. So I, I remember it was like a Seinfeld episode. I kept trying to quit. I was like, I don't feel good about taking this paycheck. And my boss at the time, he kept canceling my one-on-ones. It was 6 weeks
Mm,
before, like I had made the decision to quit, and it was 6 weeks. And finally, I just sent him an email. I was like, he was on safari in Africa, and I was like, dude, I'm not doing anything. I
yeah.
feel really bad about taking your money. I'm quitting, and never heard back. It was not one of the big top firms, but it was a firm everybody would know. But it was really interesting that, um, just that, and I was not a good employee, and then I didn't feel right about taking that, so I did my own thing. So, um, talk a little bit, please, about what you're doing now, Cloudify AI, sort of where you guys play in the market, challenges you see, anything you want us to know about.
For sure. So I mean, that background in history and getting to running my own business, that's very appropriate, right? I looked at everything that I've done in my career, and everything is legacy. And yet, I found clients were always struggling with that leap. Um, Emotionally, a lot of them had made it to say, yes, we need to go to cloud. Financially, a number of them had made it, saying, yes, we need to go to cloud. Operationally, execution, and from the data perspective, which is what I know, right? Um, Most of them have not made the full transition, right? They're somewhere on the journey.
Mhm.
Any company that tells you they're completely moved into the cloud and have no more on-prem, 99% of them are lying.
They don't know what's left on prem.
They
They're
don't
just,
know what's left.
they just have, oh, and then they found out, we've seen, oh, we're all in the cloud and we do some work and like,
Yeah,
actually, you're not all in the cloud. And they're
yeah,
like, I didn't know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you look at it, 90% of their data is probably sitting in Excel somewhere, right? And it's on someone's computer. So
Isn't
yes,
that
they
everybody
haven't
runs
made
their
it.
business on Excel? I mean, that's that's just amazing
It
how
is.
sticky that is.
It is very sticky. And so that became the genesis. Okay, let's help people move and let's do it in a way that is optimized. Just to say we're going to throw more people at it, smarter people at it, it just doesn't work. Or we have these little tools that do X, Y, Z. So we said, let's find an IP that does a lot of the grunt work
Mhm.
to get to get over, right? Just to focus on that and focus on the things that nobody else really wants to do. Right. So when you get the consultants, the Accentures, the Bains and the Deloittes, we won't pick on UI because I was there, right?
I can pick on them. I
You
never
can
would.
pick on them.
No.
Yeah. But their whole modus is they want to show the customer or the client where they're going to go, right? The new world in Google and Azure and in AWS and all the great things you're going to be able to do. But they don't talk to them about the grunt work that's going to be required to make that a reality. Right? And you put some smoke and mirrors around. Well, all your legacy data is there, but we can deal with that, right? But they can't really deal with it, and so that stalls a lot of projects. It either stalls, delays, or in some cases cancels because no one thought about the ROI around doing that. So if we can bring a better approach, a faster approach, a less risky approach, we can change the ROI. We can also remove the roadblock and help customers make that transition. That was the genesis, right? And that's where the name Cloudify AI comes from, is they want to do AI, they want to use machine learning, they want to do all the new models, but the value that a company holds sits in their legacy data.
Yep.
And if you don't bring that in, your models are not optimized. You don't know that. So I just got a notice last week or 2 weeks ago. The bank I deal with, I've been a customer for 50 years for this one bank. Right? So unless they've got
50 years. Did you
access,
start when you were like 4 years old? Come
pretty
on.
close, pretty close. But yeah, if they don't have access to that IMS DB2 system that holds my 50-year-old record, right, they can't tell.
Right.
Pretty simple. So that's what I focus on is okay, let's get them over as fast as possible in a risk managed way using IP, but only on an outcome basis. That's what we do. So we don't sell
And what does that
software.
mean on an outcome basis?
So we use our IP and our software to do the work. Okay. And you give us uh, a defined outcome that you want. So let's say you've got 1,000 Oracle databases and 2,000 like Informatica jobs around it and all of this code that deals with that data. And you want all of it hosted in the cloud environment, Google Cloud, and you want everything there. So we will give you that path and we will give you an outcome that says it's 100% converted, tested, and functional, and you pay for that outcome. That's what I mean.
That's awesome. Again, different model than sort of an hourly, heads on a stick, I guess they call it.
Yeah,
Um, One of the things that we're seeing as clients move to cloud, well, we're seeing different approaches. Everyone is approaching it a little differently. I think, um, the general consensus is people will be in a hybrid model where they'll have multiple cloud providers, for different systems. But I've heard, different terms. Obviously, there's lift and shift. One vendor says lift and shine, which I thought was interesting. So you want to lift it up, make it a little better, and then you have, refactoring and sort of rebuilding the whole thing.
yeah.
Um, are you guys in all of those spaces? Are you helping in all of those ways, or is there a model that or companies, lifting and shifting and then fixing, or are they fixing it and then like how are companies handling this move to the cloud when it comes to the you know because I think part of it is when it goes over there, it needs to run more efficiently. It needs to be better. You can't consume as many licenses. So you don't want to throw this 35-year-old application that's really inefficient and you just put a lot of servers behind it.
Yeah,
You because that's going to be expensive in whatever cloud you choose.
absolutely. Every company has a slightly different approach, but there's that core context of rationalization and just do deduplication. If you remember Oracle terms, right? Deduping.
Deduping, yes, I do
Yeah.
remember that.
So this once you've established that the risk is low in doing just the lift and shift, and it's feasible, then companies can undertake, oh, should we do the rationalization first? Right? One of the offerings we have is an AI-driven analysis of what is there in the current estate. And there we can identify a lot of the duplication and the rationalization targets. Those can be identified up front. And you would naturally take care of those before you go. Okay.
Hmm.
There's some critical functions where you just don't want to disturb it. You want it to get over there, and then you want to do the rationalization. Right? So depending on the nature of the workload, right? It gets back to the nature of the workload. The core toil, the dirty work, the grunt work, if you can resolve that, then people can put their heads around the rest.
Hmm.
Right? There's no point doing rationalization if you can't even justify moving, right? They'll just leave it alone. These are term I've heard many times called mothballing. Right? Just mothball that server, leave it alone, don't touch it.
Yes.
Um, and that's also part of the rationalization journey. If you think it's too complex, too risky, just leave it alone. Right?
Right.
Move the pieces that are relevant. So yes, they follow those just different approaches. There's in our experience, there's a trend coming up to do the optimization and the rationalization while you're doing the transformation and modernization. Some pieces will just go lift and shift because you can't deal with them. Okay. For the rest, yeah, it's an opportunity to do the optimization and just rebuild.
Hmm.
So we have IP now coming up specifically around automating your data pipeline. Once you've understood which pieces can be just mothballed and which pieces need to be dealt with, right? Then you approach it that way. But those are the big factors that people take into account. It's always risk based.
Are you seeing now, we're a few years into this, cloud world. Um, are people once they go to a cloud, do they stay there or do they move around? Are they going from AWS to Google to Microsoft and back and OCI and or are these things so sticky that once you're there, it's like Hotel California. You check in, but you can't check out.
Yeah, I'm seeing people are now starting to move. Okay. And a lot of them have made the conscious decision not to use the native services because that's where the stickiness comes in. Right?
Hmm.
If you start using 500 Azure services and there's no absolute equivalent in one of the other clouds, then you're stuck. So yeah, there's a lot of other vendors. I mean, Snowflake is a big example, right? They are proponents of multi-cloud because they'll say their application and their solution can sit on any cloud.
Hmm.
So that gives you flexibility to move. But even outside that, right, using a lot of core open source context and structure rather than the specific cloud service. People are aware of that. Architects in the industry are aware of that. So they do that. And now there's also that second and third generational conversation going on in that they did the first move to, let's say, AWS. It was highly uh, it was highly anticipated, but yet uncontrolled. And so therefore their costs are through the roof.
Hmm.
Right? So now when they're rationalizing that environment and the cost, they're figuring, okay, maybe it's more efficient for us to just move to Azure or Google Cloud rather than stay on AWS and try and rebuild this thing. So they can optimize cost, uh, actually rebuild and recast their operating model and move at the same time. And then the other cloud vendors are helping that. So it becomes you're not on your own, fully self-funding it. The other cloud vendors are aggressive and bringing in funding to help them. So that is driving moves between clouds.
What about the um, taking things that were in the cloud and bringing them back on-prem?
Yeah, you see that in the press a lot, and I've seen some examples. We have a client in Asia who wants to stay on-prem.
Okay.
They've made that conscious decision. They want to stay on-prem. They have the cloud capability, but for their core application, they want to stay on-prem. It gets back to our mainframe days. It's predictable workload and therefore predictable spend for them to
Hmm.
stay on-prem. And they have resources available that can deal with it, right? So all three factors are there. Um, but outside of that, the ones that I've seen want to go back are the ones who never fully embraced cloud. Right? So they basically used cloud as a VM container
Hmm.
and didn't get into any of the services, right? Didn't take advantage of cloud native in any way. And for them, it's yeah, why are they there? I mean, it's probably cheaper to stay on-prem.
Right. Well, we're seeing, specifically with government, defense,
Mhm.
industries, banking, healthcare, these types of industries where they really want to go to cloud, but for whatever reason they can. It could be a security thing, it could be a regulation thing. So our specialty is Oracle. So Oracle says, well, you know what? Let's just take our servers, put them in your data center, and we'll call it cloud.
Exactly.
Cloud a customer.
Yep.
And so now, they're, I'm assuming, recognizing that revenue as cloud, but it's just you still need that building. You still
Yes.
have those machines in your building. You need to supply electricity and networking and sort of
Yeah.
all those services, but somebody else is managing the database now.
Yeah, they've taken away, essentially they've taken away the hands and feet on the server console management, right?
Hmm.
So yes, Cloud Customer, I know that product fairly well. And they've taken away the hands and feet. They've also taken away a lot of the upgrade and resolution issues that clients would have. But at the end of the day, it's still a piece of hardware sitting on someone's floor somewhere,
Right.
right? And it's not true cloud.
Right.
It's not. So if you see the recent announcement from Oracle with that they had with Google Cloud,
I definitely have, but why don't you tell everybody what's going on there?
so here's my opinion on it. This is purely my opinion. And you also see a lot of announcements from Oracle around ChatGPT and a lot of these large AI vendors adopting Oracle Cloud. They are, in my opinion, reselling their data center capacity to these large vendors.
Hmm.
They are exiting the Oracle Cloud business.
Interesting.
That's my opinion. And
Like the true OCI business.
the true OCI business, yes,
Well, they had some recent layoffs there too.
exactly. So you see that as well. Um, and that's the reason that they're really proponents of Oracle database in, say, Google Cloud.
Right.
Right. So their stickiness, their real. value continues to be the Oracle database.
Oh my God, 100%. I've been saying
100%.
that for 30 years.
Yeah.
They are a database company and
Yes.
they do stuff to make sure they sell the database.
That's it. And the only factor they had earlier for why you continued to need Oracle on-prem or even OCI or even Oracle Cloud at Customer within OCI was that the Oracle applications were not certified to run on these specific versions of Oracle, right? The ones that they let you run on AWS and Azure and Google. But now that's disappearing. Right? So Oracle applications, be they primary like ERP or some of the apps that Larry Ellison bought, like JD Edwards and PeopleSoft, right?
Right.
Even those, from what I've seen, will now be certified to run with Oracle on Google Cloud, for example. So that hedge is gone.
Yeah, obviously our clients, when we find a new client or an existing client, they have a problem with Oracle, right? We don't get the happy I love Oracle customers. We get the ones, and I say that, and then everybody laughs when I say that. They're like, "There are there any?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yes, I'm sure there are." But we get the ones who have a dispute. They think they're spending too much. They're being audited. They have an exit plan, whatever. And one of the things we see over and over is this move to cloud. And they want to, pick a cloud. We want to run on AWS. We want to run on Microsoft. We want to run on Google. And
yeah,
Oracle says we can't.
exactly.
And I'm like, sure you can. Well, it's not certified. I'm like, do you know? And so when we actually do an audit of a client and we show them what they're running, I'm like, do you know you're running a version of Oracle that's no longer certified on that hardware? It's just not. It's just because they certified such a small slice and it's the latest and greatest. So when Oracle says, you won't be certified on Google Cloud, who cares? When Oracle says we won't support you on Google Cloud, yes, they will.
Yeah.
It's just these artificial roadblocks that Oracle has put. And now that they've got this, so we see clients, they go through this cycle. They're like, oh, we're really excited about this Oracle database at fill in the blank cloud, right? Because all three of them now have it. So like, great, here's what's going to happen. You're going to look at that and it's going to check off all your technical boxes and it's going to be the most expensive way to run Oracle in the cloud and you're not going to want it. And sure enough, they go through this. They're really excited and then they're like, ugh. And then now, all those three vendors have now been working with Oracle, talking to
Mm,
customers and sort of Oracle gets up there in front of these customers and says, well, you can run it on Oracle database on this cloud, but you can't run it on the native cloud. And so
mm,
now those three vendors are stuck because they let Oracle sort of say these things that aren't contractually accurate.
yeah.
And then we have to unstick these clients because in their head they think, oh, I can't run it on GCP. I can't run it on AW. I'm like, yeah, you sure can. And everybody's doing it and it works.
Yeah. But you hit the nail on the head, and I've heard this from you before as well, right? That this is an artificial roadblock, and technically we all know it is, right? But that idea that oh, we won't support you for regulated industries, it becomes a big issue,
Yes.
right? So that's the piece that they had left. That was their moat, in my opinion. And so now for those clients that truly need to stay on Oracle because they have no other option for the application perspective, there's an option.
Right.
And they can stay on Oracle. And like as you said, Oracle's not going to make it cheaper for you to run on AWS or Google.
No.
They're not.
No.
The Larry doesn't uh, get any benefit from that.
Nobody at Oracle makes more money when you spend less money with Oracle, right? They all
That's
make more, and
that's
any
always been
company,
true. It's always been true. Yes,
right? There is no sales rep in the world who his KPI is how much less did they spend with me? Great, I'm going to get my bonus, right? It's always more, more, more.
exactly. So yeah, so that is a reality. But what it's done, that was the only reason to stay with OCI was you would have a supported environment.
Right.
But now it's not there. So
How,
that's my hypothesis is that they're walking away from the cloud business because they didn't win, right? And nobody's building cloud native apps on Oracle Cloud at a scale. It's not happening.
well, we have seen, the one bright spot we've seen, again, we don't have, and I have to remind people of this all the time. When I sort of talk about Oracle. I'm coming from a very specific perspective where
Mhm.
people are calling me every day complaining about Oracle. But we have seen some movement. Actually, we had a staff call today in Palisade, and we were talking about adoption of Fusion Cloud and ERP apps, and so there, where years ago people were buying this stuff and hating it, and it wasn't working, and it just was, they wanted their money back. Uh, Now it works, right? You can
Mhm.
buy HCM and you can buy Fusion Cloud, and there's some functionality there that people like. So there is that. I mean, I don't think they're exiting that business, right?
No, 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 no. Their strength on that side, on the ERP side, and on those Fusion apps is their data model. Okay, so they've got a common data model across multiple lines of business for a corporation,
Right.
and that ability is differential. So yes, those apps and that app business is still viable, right? That's not the point I was driving at. So they would end up very similar to SAP in that they've
Hmm.
got their apps business. It's strong, right? It runs on their cloud, which is fine. But then the ability to have a lot of the supporting environment and ecosystem and services in any cloud, then why do you need Oracle Cloud? Right? You
Right.
just run your app there, your data's there, and if it technically needs an Oracle database, that's available. Right? You're good.
I mean, I will say again, coming from our perspective, I have never had a customer say to me, "Boy, I really want to use OCI for this." It's always, I have to use OCI because my contract. I have to use OCI because I'm worried about an audit. I have to use OCI because I'm going to get a good deal over there. But it's never, boy, that is the best cloud service, and I really want to go to OCI. It's always one of the other three. They always
Yeah,
want to go to one of the other three, and OCI is in the mix because it has to be.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think you're on top there. So if they're going to protect their database franchise and they're going to go multi-cloud, then at some point their licensing is going to become the issue, and that's where you come in, right? That's exactly where you come in. Where we come in is even if they want to move from Oracle on-prem to Oracle database in Google or Azure or AWS, all the surrounding pipelines need to be refactored,
Mhm.
and that's what we do. Okay.
So we have, you know, since we're both in sales, um, there's a concept of your zebra. Like everybody knows what a zebra is. And in sales, you're always looking for your zebra, right? You don't have to describe a zebra. Everybody knows what it is. And from a sales perspective, we at Palisade have a zebra. Like these are the types of people, clients that would be perfect fits for Palisade and what we do. So we're always looking for the zebras. Who's your zebra? Who's your perfect client? What is their situation that you could say, "Well, we really help that group of people in that specific scenario?"
It's a great question. So the ones we've seen really get value from what we do, primarily they have to have the commitment that yes, we want to move to the cloud. Right? That's a given. Ideally, they've tried it on their own.
Hmm. Oh, I
Right?
like
They've
that.
said, "Oh yeah, we can deal with the apps, right? We understand all the new functions we want to use over there, but we tried to deal with the data, and that's where it just the rails fell off, right? The wheels fell off the bus. It just we didn't know what to do." Or they went and tried it with another vendor and they said,
Hmm.
well, wait a second, this is going to be 10 years and 10 million, and we don't have either, right? So that's the ideal client. That is,
That's an interesting way to look at it because I think for me, being in consulting, everybody always tries to do it on their own, right? You
Mhm.
just always doesn't matter, right? I tried to get better at golf on my own and I struggled with it until I brought in someone to help me. And so I guess I hadn't thought about it that way, but that's so true. And there's so much information out there, right? When I think about starting this company 14 years ago, if I went on the internet and did some searching on Oracle licensing or how to migrate over, there's just very little information. And now it's information overload. Half
Yeah,
of it is crap, but there is so much information. I think it gives people maybe a false sense of confidence. Oh, I could do this. I can do this on my own. But at least on our side, the Oracle licensing, and there's so many traps. It's so complex. Like it is designed for you to try it on your own because you will
Mhm.
fail. Unfortunately, I mean, I wish it wasn't the case. But so that's interesting. So your clients are coming to you having already tried to do this, and are you? Is there a cleanup effort then, or are you like have you can start from scratch? Is it worse? Are they digging a hole and now you have to sort of fill it in a little bit before they can get out, or is it does it not matter?
No, I've never seen that where they've gotten themselves so deep that they can't get out, right? Because they won't do the transition until this is done, right? So
Right.
the legacy won't go away. It'll just sit there and do its work, and like it normally does. So I haven't seen that. What we see a lot of is, hey, I've got ChatGPT, I can do this, right? Yeah, I'm sure you
Right.
see that with licensing too, right? Oh, yeah, ChatGPT said XYZ, but
We did a whole podcast on that. I brought in two guys
yeah,
from Palisade, and we just started asking it questions. A
yeah,
vendor asked me to do this. Should I do it? And oh my gosh, the answers were some
yeah,
of them were really good.
yeah,
Well, let me say this: they all sounded really good. They all sounded like that. Okay, I understand the logic there, but it is the worst possible answer because it's
exactly.
pulling from Oracle's website. That's where it's pulling that. Yes, you should give Oracle all the information that they request. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this terrible?
It's interesting stuff. Yeah. And so in our world, when you're converting code, it looks really good. It's well formatted, right? It might even compile, but every time you ask it, it gives you a different answer. Right? It's not going to be consistent, and
Right.
it's not. So we continue to believe it's highly deterministic, right? This requirement. And so you get those, or people have tried it. They've had the ChatGPT conversation, or they had a vendor come in and say, "Oh yeah, we've done this a couple of times. We'll do it again." Right? That's okay. So that's usually the scenario where they failed, but the business has come back and said, "No, you need to do this."
Mhm.
Right? IT has said it's too expensive, too hard, but the business said you need to do it. Find a way. So that to us is the ideal because then they've got a compelling need. We're not going to drive the transformation. Right? A business need is going to drive the transformation.
Mhm.
So yeah, to your ideal Zebra customer, yeah, there's a business need and somebody's tried it and yes, they failed. That's ideal.
So we only have a few more minutes here, but I wanted to, something I like to ask our guests or one mistake you see customers make over and over, and then one thing they do really well. Like if you having worked over the years with so many clients moving to the cloud, what's one thing you say, oh, I just wish they would stop doing that. And then another thing, well, that's really good. Like I wish every one of my clients did that.
So generally or just instances that I've seen.
Yeah, instances that you've seen in general, any good stories that you look at and you scratch your head or
Yeah. So if we talk about the good, I mean, I've had clients who truly looked at the economics rather than just the shiny object. They truly looked at the economics, the technical value, and made an approach based on those. And to me, that was the best to work with, right? There was
Mhm.
no religion around it, and there was no false expectation. They wanted it to be very much an economic and a technical conversation as to what is it that they're going to get. Um, the ones that failed are the ones that went in or you could say that the ones that I would say, yeah, don't do that, is the ones who just go in head first without understanding that it's a new operating model, new skill set requirement, and a new way of thinking about your applications and your business sense, right?
That would be me, by the way. That's how I would do it.
Okay.
Totally. Just jump in. What could go
Just
wrong?
jump in.
Yeah.
It's okay if you're just testing and trying stuff, it's fine, right? But when you're going to go set your corporate strategy on that, that doesn't work. That's
We
just
had, so I had 1,000 people working for me at Oracle, and we could never, I shouldn't say that. That's a little, it was difficult to get stuff through our IT department because they were all focused on helping our clients. So we had to hire some IT folks internally and build our own skunk work operation to, draft contracts and do approvals and all that other stuff. And so we would come up with these new scenarios and new ideas. And they're like, okay, we've got to put it in test and we've got to do this. I'm like, no, no, no. We test in production here. This is not life or death. We are not doing 3 months here of testing. This is, submit an approval, and if it doesn't work, we'll pull the code.
Yeah,
So me, again, it was not mission critical. Oracle was not going out of business if our contract request tool went down for an hour.
right.
But I was always the one pushing. There is no testing. There, we go right into production. Let's go. If your guys are good, you're going to get some good code here. I think it took them a little longer than to develop the code because they're like, there's not.
Yeah,
We're going to jump right into the
there you go.
end of the pool.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. So if someone wants to connect with you and
Yes.
well, before I get to that, are you going to Cloud World? You going to any conferences? What's is there anything out there that people should be looking at and saying that that's a great source of information? That's a great place to meet people. I know we're doing Cloud World. We're not doing Gartner this year. But we obviously, all of our clients are there at Cloud World.
Yeah, we haven't made a decision on that yet. I mean, we're pretty small, so the investment and the return is what we need to look at.
Mhm.
Um, We're starting. We started with Google because they helped me a lot in getting off the ground. And our next foray will probably be Azure. So we may be at the Microsoft conferences. We go
Okay.
to the Google conferences, and we may be at the Microsoft conferences. But yeah, we're doing more podcasts. We're doing more webinars. So those will be all announced on our website. And we're going to start investing in LinkedIn marketing as well.
Excellent.
So that's another area. And this podcast with you will probably be one of our first highlights.
Awesome. Love
So
the pod. I was not a podcast guy, and they had to push me begrudgingly to do podcasts. I was like, oh, this is going to be such a waste of time. But it's not. This is great. I get to talk to great people. I get to, and I get comments from, oh, I listen to your podcast. So um, it's a great source of information.
thank you for that. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. I need to expand and get more awareness built. So that will be the target for us. But yeah, if you want to know more about us, our website is the ideal spot, and we're always open to a conversation.
So that's cloudifyai.com.
.com.
Awesome. Great. I love that you got AI right in your name.
There you
Every
go.
conversation we have now, when I do this podcast,
Yeah,
there is an AI component to it. Every single one. It doesn't matter. I was talking to the head of a contracting organization last week.
yeah,
So we actually released the podcast this week, and it's all about AI, right? It's just you're either using it, you're not using it, you're thinking about it, you're worried that it's going to take your job. It's just out there and in the ethos. So I think everyone needs to pay attention to that, and the fact that you're using some of that technology to help clients in their journey to cloud, because that march is happening,
mhm,
and it's not a one time thing. I think we're moving to this cloud. Up, that cloud is better for us now. Now we're gonna no, well these we're gonna decommission and mothball, and that's gonna go back on. Like it's just gonna be this constant churn. It'll settle down eventually, but it's not a one. You're not going to one place and you stop. It's a journey, and it continues as long as you're in business.
100%. There will always be someone better, someone faster, somebody with a new offering, and the companies that can take advantage of those, they will benefit. And that's what we're seeing.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for taking care of our clients and in your work. And I have to say, Raj, today you were the world's greatest podcast guest. So
Wow.
yeah, come on. For the last 45 minutes, you were the best and you were the greatest in the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everybody for listening. And we will catch you next time on the world's greatest podcast.